Welcome back, everybody. Welcome to the second hour today on the 13th day of June, 2013, the 13th day of June, 2013. I'm Dr. Peter Glidden, your steadfast advocate for health, your friendly neighborhood naturopath, welcoming you to the second hour of Fire Your MD Now. We have a caller from California. We're going to go right there next while I wait for my Skype feed to regenerate. He's gone. Okay. Okay. Hold on just a sec. Thank you. All right. So we're not going to go right to the phones. We're going to wait for people to call. 866-582-9933. The lines are open. 866-582-9933. Now, in 1957, which is 1 year before I was born, a doctor named Merz, M-E-R-Z, Walter Merz, by the way, could make in a laboratory rats generate type 2 diabetes or not. He could turn type 2 diabetes on or off in laboratory rats at will. And how did he do it? He did it by messing with the levels of chromium in the blood of the laboratory rat. So he would give them little rat chow that had chromium in it, or he'd give them rat chow without chromium in it. And when he gave them rat chow without chromium in it, guess what? They got type 2 diabetes. They developed blood sugar issues. And when he put the chromium back into their diets, the type 2 diabetes went away. The blood sugars normalized. Years later, there was an Indian doctor. His name was Gigi Boy. He was working at some hospital in New England. I forget if it was BU or Tufts or wherever it was. But Gigi Boy, because he couldn't handle the English language very well, Dr. Gigi Boy, the MDs at the hospital put him in the back room and just let him do some research until his English came up to snuff because, you know, they didn't want him to kill a patient because there was a language difference, and he meant to say go left and then take off the left leg, and instead he said take off the right leg or whatever. So Gigi Boy started doing research, and he noticed that patients in the coma ward, patients who were unconscious in comas, after 3 or 4 weeks of being in a coma, they all developed type 2 diabetes, 100%. 100% development of type 2 diabetes of coma patients who were unconscious for more than a couple of weeks. And Gigi Boy thought to himself, well, that's curious. That has to either be because of something that is in the stomach tubes that the coma patients were on, because they're all on stomach tubes, because they're all, unconscious. And so they're feeding them with stomach tubes, parenteral nutrition through stomach tubes. That's how they kept them alive. And Gigi Boy thought to himself, son of a gun, it has to be either something that's in the food that we're giving him or something that's not in the food that we're giving him. So he started doing a review of the literature, and he came upon Merz's work. And so he had this remarkable insight, and he said, well, son of a gun, I'm going to bet you that the food that we're giving these coma patients doesn't have any chromium in it. So what did he do? He started adding chromium into the feeding tubes, food-grade chromium into the feeding tubes of the coma patients, and within 7 days of doing that, the type 2 diabetes disappeared, and then he would remove the chromium from the diets, and within 2 weeks, the type 2 diabetes came back, and he published his results and brought them to his medical professionals, and the editor of the journal, I don't know if you've ever read a medical journal, but when you read a medical journal, what you see is the editor of the journal, especially if it's a controversial article, will make a little, have a little comment, right? The editor of the journal comments about the research that they're publishing if it's a little controversial. And the editor's comment of Gigi Boy's research was, Dr. Gigi Boy's results must have been placebo. That's what he said, and it was printed and published. Must have been placebo. Gigi Boy's research must have worked on the placebo method, because we all know that type 2 diabetes is genetic and that there's no cure for type 2 diabetes. And there he had the evidence right in front of his face. And how can a coma patient be the subject of a placebo experiment? Well, you can't be the subject of a placebo experiment. It's nonsense. And this is why you are not to trust the MDs, because they come at the world of medicine with rose-colored glasses on. They don't know that they have rose-colored glasses on, and their information is always biased, and it is a big, bad voodoo daddy. Lupus is no exception. A medical doctor will tell you that lupus is an autoimmune disease. Lupus is not an autoimmune disease. They've gotten it completely backwards. We're going to go to Michigan and talk to Mark all about it. Hey, Mark, thanks for calling. You are live.
Yeah, hi, Dr. Glidden. I appreciate you taking my call.
Yeah. So what's up?
Yeah, I'm calling about a friend of mine who has lupus, and I'm just trying to figure out what's the best nutrition here from your program that I could talk with her about taking.
Yeah, okay, so I did a really good webinar on lupus a couple months ago. If you're a member of my online health recovery team, you can go into the archives and pull up the webinar. It's about 45 minutes long, and it tells you everything there is to know about this illness. Long story short, though, I'll tell you for the listening audience, right, from our point of view, lupus, which is supposed to be, according to the MDs, an autoimmune disease. It's a disease wherein somehow the body decided that it's okay to attack itself, and the body has actually developed antibodies against itself, and so the body is chewing up its own tissue. This is what the MDs think. They have no idea what causes it, and they're completely 100% off base. From our point of view, lupus is no different than the process that generates lupus is no different than the process that happens to a dead, decomposing animal body on the side of the road. I don't know if you've ever looked at a dead, decomposing animal body on the side of the road. I think every boy in the United States has done that. They found a dead cat or a dead dog or a dead rat or something on the side of the road, and you kick it over and look at it. Well, what happens? After 3 or 4 days, the animal starts to become infested with little parasitic organisms that are chewing up the carcass. They're chewing up the carcass. Well, the same thing happens inside the human body. When there is chronic inflammation, and I mean inflammation, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, for months at a time, the body tissue starts to degenerate and decompose, and you've got dead tissue in the body. And the body's continuing to destroy tissue every day, not because it's built antibodies against itself, but because there's chronic inflammation afoot in the body. And why is there chronic inflammation afoot? Because the person is consistently eating all of the wrong foods. The foods are causing inflammation, and then the body does not have the requisite amount of nutrients to put those fires of inflammation out. It can't put the fires out, so the inflammation becomes a runaway train. It becomes a wildfire, and tissue in the body starts to become destroyed on a regular basis. Now, when there's a runaway inflammatory process happening inside the body freaks out. The body pays attention to the laws of nature. The body is subjected to the laws of nature. The body cannot work outside of the laws of nature. So what does the body do? The body generates antibodies to clean up, eat, and eliminate the dead, destroyed tissue so that gangrene doesn't set in. So that's where the antibodies come from. So the body creates antibodies to clean up the inflammatory mess, but the medical doctor, because they're idiotic, old-fashioned, out-of-date, one-sided, lopsided, and they've got the thumb of the pharmaceutical industry so far up their rear end that they can't even think straight, the medical doctor looks at the presence of the antibody and then determines that it was the antibody that caused the illness. It's the antibody's fault, which has never been proven. It is 100% not in keeping with even the fundamental laws of physics, or the fundamental laws of biochemistry, I should say. It is reality by consensus. One medical doctor someplace in some medical journal years ago said it was the antibody that causes the inflammatory reaction, and every medical doctor in the world agreed, because this is how these people think. They're like lemmings following each other over the cliff. They have no intellectual integrity, and they are all 100% intellectual cowards. And I'm choosing my words carefully. They have duped an entire generation, 2 generations now, of people into believing in their myth of the autoimmune disease, and it is nonsense. The same way that they've duped an entire generation into believing in the myth of the BRCA gene. And I've talked about that before. So from our point of view, lupus is the culmination of weeks, months, and years, probably, of a chronic, unbridled, out-of-control inflammatory process in the human body, which has its roots deeply embedded in malnutrition. So, to support and promote the structure and function of the body when someone is in the face of a diagnosis of lupus erythematosus, often called SLE, systemic lupus erythematosus, the recommendation is simple. Eliminate the 10 bad foods. Eliminate the 10 bad foods. That is of maximum importance. Take one anti-aging Healthy Start Pack per 100 pounds of body weight per month. One anti-aging Healthy Start Pack per 100 pounds of body weight per month. Take 4 bottles of selenium a month. I don't care how much you weigh. Take 4 bottles of selenium a month and do as much Z-Radical as you can afford. A bottle a week would be a good place to start. That's 4 bottles a month. And also increase your consumption of foods and drinks and herbs that are high in antioxidant ORAC points, with the monthly or the daily goal, rather, being 100,000 ORAC points of anti-inflammatory antioxidants a day. So 100,000 ORAC points of antioxidants a day, 1 bottle of Z-Radical a week, that's 4 a month, 4 bottles of Ultimate Selenium a month, and 1 bottle of anti-aging Healthy Start Pack, or 1 package of anti-aging Healthy Start Pack per 100 pounds of body weight per month. And for goodness sake, stay away from the MDs, because they have nothing for this except drugs which cause side effects, quite frankly, which are worse than the disease. Fire your medical doctor, folks. Take the anti-aging Healthy Start Pack, the selenium, the Z-Radical instead. Clean your diet up and let the healing begin. She's going to love how she feels, Mark. She has to commit to this for about 6 months, however, and eliminating the 10 bad foods is of maximum importance. Stick with us, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Dr. Peter Glidden, coming back to you live after these messages. Get away, ladies and gentlemen. Get away from your MD as fast as is humanly possible. Call me instead, 866-582-9933, 866-582-9933. And if you're listening to the podcast, 855-347-3696. By the way, that's the same number to call, even if you're listening to the live broadcast, for information on how to get the stuff we talk about here, the nutritional supplements offered by Youngevity at the wholesale price, and or how to join Team Glidden and become a Youngevity distributor, become a Youngevity member, become a Youngevity mover and shaker. Join our grassroots coalition of the informed to help get her done here on planet Earth, because we're suffering needlessly. 855-347-3696. That's 855-347-3696. Give us a call and make a difference in your wealth by making a difference in the health of everyone in your world. We see it all the time. We're up against it hard. Everybody's in wheelchairs. Everybody after 50 years of age is going downhill rapidly. 1/3 of American adults are obese. 300,000 people a year march through death's door because of obesity. Obesity is the most rapidly rising childhood ailment. It's increased by 60%, I think, in our childhood population in the last 20 years. It's nuts. And we look around at all of this, and because it's so epidemic, we think that it's normal. The medical doctors must be right. It's got to be genetic. Well, it's not genetic. It is the result of Betty Crocker. Betty Crocker is the reason for all of this nonsense. Betty Crocker and Monsanto and the food industry and all of those commercials by Kellogg's and Quaker Mills telling you, yeah, that's right, that you need to eat Wonder Bread, you need to eat your granola, you need to eat your cornflakes, you need to eat from the 4 food groups, whole grains are the best possible thing you can possibly eat. It's nonsense. It's the worst food that you can possibly eat. Whole grains are the worst food that you can possibly eat. You want to know why? Sign up for my free newsletter at drglidden.com or fireyourmdnow.com. They're mirror sites. drglidden.com or fireyourmdnow.com. And when you sign up for the newsletter, you're going to get a free copy of my video Against the Grain. It walks you through from step A to step Z why whole grains are bad for you. They're some of the most difficult proteins in the world for your stomach to digest. And when you have an undigested protein tumbling through your digestive tract, things become destroyed. The very tissues that are supposed to be absorbing all of those good whole grain nutrients are destroyed by the evil whole grains. So look, even if you don't understand biochemistry, you understand history, and you can look back and you know how many kids you grew up with had attention deficit disorder. You know how many kids had autism. None. Zero. You know how many kids were overweight. Very few. You know how many kids died on the football field during a football game. None. Zero. That was because in the baby boomer generation, we didn't eat whole grains when we were kids. That didn't start until, the mid-1960s, 1970s. We're already grown by then. For goodness sake, ladies and gentlemen, in the last 30 years, there has been a 65% increase in grain consumption. 65% increase in grain consumption amongst children in the United States. The average teenager eats 6 bowls of cereal a day. It's the equivalent of 6 bowls of cereal a day. We wonder why there's so much autism, because all of the 20-somethings now that are getting pregnant have grown up on whole grains. And when you grow up on whole grains, every single time you eat a whole grain, the tissue in your gut that absorbs nutrients gets destroyed a little more. So by the time you're in your 20s, you've had 20 years of tissue destruction in your gut. Your body's running on nutrient fumes. And then if you're lucky enough to get pregnant, which also is why there's so much infertility, because the body does not want to bring a baby into the world in an undernutrified body. It knows if it does, a birth defect is going to be the result. So what happens? The body doesn't want you to get pregnant. And then in the off chance that you do get pregnant, the child is developing in a womb that's completely undernutrified, and this is why kids are born autistic. Now, when you add onto that crap in vaccinations, environmental stress, electromagnetic stress, and lions and tigers and bears, you're done. Kid's done. Didn't even have a chance, for goodness sake. This is the world that we live in, brought to you by Bus Driver MD. One more reason to fire them immediately and encourage everybody in your life to do the same. 866-582-9933. Lines open. 866-582-9933. 866-582-9933. Dr. Glidden's in a dilemma. Dr. Glidden's in a dilemma. What am I going to do? I grew up in New England as a steadfast, staunch, and I mean staunch, Boston Bruins fan. Staunch Boston Bruins fan. And now I've lived in Chicago for the last, 6, 7 years, something like that. So the Stanley Cup playoffs, the National Hockey League playoffs, this year it's the Chicago Blackhawks against the Boston Bruins. Oh, my God, I'm torn right down the middle. I didn't know what I was going to do. Who am I going to root for? What am I going to do? Oh, my God, I'm schizophrenic. Help me. Help. Somebody help me. So I'm watching the game last night. What an unbelievable game. 3 periods of overtime. 2 hockey games for the price of 1. Chicago finally pulled it out with 8 minutes left to go in the third overtime. And I found myself rooting for the Chicago Blackhawks. Couldn't believe that I was actually doing that, but I was rooting for the Chicago Blackhawks. My, oh my, how the mighty have fallen. And let's, like the fella said, you want to make God laugh? Tell her your future plans. If you'd have told me 40 years ago that I would be rooting wholeheartedly, kind of unconsciously, for the Chicago Blackhawks, I would have laughed in your face and spit in your eye. My, oh my, how the mighty have fallen. 866-582-9933. That's the number to call to talk to me. 866-582-9933. Our simple solution for health is simple. We have boilerplate health recovery protocols that have been developed after millions of dollars, literally tens of millions, $25 million to be exact, of federally funded research and decades of clinical experience by licensed naturopathic physicians applying the research findings with real patients in real time, looking for results and tweaking the results and moving forward as is dictated by, warranted by, the practice of medicine. Practice of medicine is a very noble calling if you're actually practicing medicine. MDs are not practicing medicine. They're shilling for the pharmaceutical company, and there is a great deal of difference. So we've got your back, though, folks. We've got it dialed right in, and the only problem here is that most people don't even know how to pronounce naturopathic, let alone know what it is. Have no idea. Most people have no idea whatsoever that there exists in the country right now, in the United States and in Canada, right now, and quite frankly in Australia and in the EU, members of a medical profession which is science-based, clinically verified, regulated and licensed by the government. Regulated and licensed by the government. The same accrediting, academic accrediting institutions that okayed Harvard Medical School, okayed the naturopathic medical schools. It's the same accrediting board. And this is why physicians, by the way, who were trained in Boston at Harvard can practice in San Francisco. This is why physicians who were trained in Tuscaloosa can practice in Alaska. Because the Federal Board of Education has national accrediting agencies which set standards for academic institutions all around the United States. It's no different for medical schools than it is for business schools or engineering schools or law schools. So in the United States, if you graduate from a fully accredited academic institution in state A, you can practice your trade in any state that you want to that licenses and regulates that profession. So law, you can practice law. Law is licensed and regulated in all 50 states. MD-directed medicine is licensed and regulated in all 50 states. Chiropractic medicine is licensed and regulated in all 50 states. Engineering, accounting, banking, these are all licensed and regulated by all 50 states. Plumbing, electricians. So if you graduate from an accredited academic institution in any professional field of endeavor, you can apply for a license to practice that trade in any of the 50 states. That's why they did it that way, to eliminate the bottleneck. So if anybody tells you that the naturopaths are quacks and they have substandard training, they're lying. Because if we did in fact have substandard training, we would not have been able to be accredited by the U.S. Department of Education, which we were. And this is the biggest lie that the MDs tell about us. Every time my profession tries to get licensed and regulated in a different state, like Illinois or Massachusetts, where we are not currently licensed or regulated. By the way, we're only licensed and regulated in 16 states right now, 16. That means 36 states don't think naturopathic medicine is worthwhile to license or to regulate. And why don't they think that? Because the pharmaceutical industry has cooked the books and cornered the market, and they've got all the politicians in their pocket. That's why. They tell the politicians, look, if you license the naturopaths, we're going to stop giving, $50 million a year to Tuskegee University. We're going to stop giving $500 million a year to Harvard. We're just going to pull out, and we're going to go across the border to some other state that wants to play by our rules. It's all money. It's got nothing to do with justice. It's got nothing to do with what's right. It's got nothing to do with fair play. It's all old-fashioned backroom, smoke-filled room, glad-handing politics. It's unbelievable that it still happens in the 21st century, but there it is. There you go. There you have it. We do not have a free medical market in the United States. So even though I have graduated from a fully accredited medical school in the United States, because only 16 states license and regulate what I do, I can only legally practice medicine in those 16 states. You know what that's like? That's like passing a law that says the only people in Michigan that can sell hamburgers is McDonald's, and then another law that says the only people that practice can sell hamburgers in California is Burger King, and the only people that can sell hamburgers in Mississippi is Wendy's. It's nonsense. But this is the way that it is. And because my profession is so small, because the naturopathic medical profession is so small, there are currently, 5.5 medical schools in the whole United States that teach naturopathic medicine. There's Bastyr University in Seattle. That's my alma mater. And there's my New England accent coming out, alma mater. There's the National College of Naturopathic Medicine in Portland, Oregon. There's the Southwest College of Naturopathic Medicine in Tempe, Arizona. There's the Bridgeport College of Naturopathic Medicine in Bridgeport, Connecticut. And there is now in Illinois a naturopathic college medical school that's just in, I think they've became accredited last year. They became accredited last year. They're part of a chiropractic college here in Illinois. And there's one in Canada. Well, so there's 6 in North America, 6 in North America total, which is nonsense. There's less than 4,000 licensed naturopathic physicians in the entire world. Less than 4,000. Now, this is why I have this radio program. This is why Dr. Wallach has his radio program. This is why Dr. Wallach formed Youngevity into a networked marketing business. Because everybody is sick and suffering with nutritional deficiency diseases, but there's only 4,000 naturopaths to go around, and that's not nearly enough. So in order to meet the need, Dr. Wallach, in his wisdom, went really far outside of the box and incurred the wrath of most naturopathic medical professionals into the bargain by doing so. Dr. Wallach said, look, healing is easy. And you know, every once in a while, and it's the minority of the time, not the majority of the time, you actually need advice, personal advice by a licensed physician to help fine-tune and tweak your program. But it's the exception, it's not the rule. Most of the time, because healing is easy, all that you need to do is follow the basic fundamental principles of medical nutrition. So if you have a blood sugar issue, you take the healthy blood sugar pack. You have a bone and joint issue, you take the healthy bone and joint pack. You have an inflammatory issue, you take the anti-aging healthy start pack because that has anti-inflammatory characteristics in it. You have a brain or a heart problem, guess what? You take the healthy brain and heart pack. And if you just want to maintain your health because you're in optimal health, it's the healthy start pack. It's that simple. 4 basic health packages to choose from, plus the healthy start pack for maintenance, and we're good to go. With these healthy start packs, we can address the majority of health concerns of chronic illness that most Americans, quite frankly, most people anywhere in the world are afflicted by. Because your chronic health concern has its roots in malnutrition, not genetics. It ain't a genetic thing. If it was genetic, it would have been like this all along. What did we go through the tail of a comet 30 years ago? And all of a sudden the comet dust changed our DNA so that now everybody has type 2 diabetes and Alzheimer's. Is that what happened? That's what the MDs want you to think. Is that how it went? It's got nothing to do with genetics. It has everything to do with really bad nutrition. Why do we have way worse nutrition now than we did 50 years ago? Our grandparents were more nutrified than we are because they weren't under the jackboot of Monsanto. They weren't under the jackboot of Betty Crocker's propaganda. They ate eggs and butter and lard and meat and wine and beer, and they loved it. And they put salt on their food, and they're healthy. The MDs come around and tell everybody not to do that, and everything goes to hell in a handbasket, and then the MDs explain away their unbelievable treatment failures by blaming the patient. It's the genetics. It's your parents' fault. It's not the doctor's fault. Yeah, guess what? Kiss my white butt. It's the doctor's fault, 100%. And this is why Dr. Wallach, in his wisdom, set Youngevity up as a networked business. This is why, because healing is easy. So the 2 fundamental myths that we bust. Number 1, Your medical doctor does not know what's best for you. Your MD only knows what your MD has been trained in. And what your MD has been trained in is just one small piece of the pie of medical science. It's disease management through the application of drugs and surgery. Your MD is not concerned nor trained in the pathogenesis of disease, nor do they know or are they concerned in how to heal anything. It's not their wheelhouse. Their job is to manage your disease with drugs and surgery. They don't give a damn about healing. It's not even in their rule book, for goodness sake. Quite frankly, I'm amazed they know how to spell it. Myth number 2. Healing is a complicated, sophisticated process that should only be attempted at multi-million-dollar, high-tech, expensive hospitals. Nonsense. Surgery is complicated. Healing is easy. Your body is endowed with a God-given ability to fix itself. The cells of your body have intelligence, divine intelligence, a vital force, which is intelligent. Your body knows how to fix itself. Your body wants to fix itself. And what does it need to fix itself? Raw materials, 90 essential nutrients. This is our message. Eliminate the foods that are hurting your body. Stop the 10 bad foods. Take the 90 essential nutrients every day. Up the ante with your antioxidants. Live long and prosper. And into the bargain, fire your MD now. I'm Dr. Peter Glidden. Stick around. Welcome back, folks. Dr. Peter Glidden here. Going to go to the email questions. We got a great number of emails on a regular basis. People can't show up at the radio show because of their work, right? People have jobs, JOBs. So we get emails from time to time. I'm going to read you one of them and answer it. This is from Nancy J. She says, my dad has so many issues. Hiatal hernia and GERD, for which he takes Nexium. GERD, by the way, that's fancy schmancy doctor acronym talk for gastroesophageal reflux disease. For goodness sake, why don't they just say heartburn and get it over with? Macular degeneration. He gets Avistan shots in his eye. How would you like to get a shot in your eye? Is that fun? Does that sound like fun to you folks? That's the MD driving the bus. Arthritis. He and my mom had some operation for spinal stenosis, laminectomy, to clean the neural channels in the lumbar region. Yeah, thank you very much. He's now getting injections into his knees because of the joint pain and cartilage damage. He's still taking Fosamax for his osteoporosis. He has a Dowager's hump, very severe scoliosis, kind of like Peter Lorre's Igor. Remember that? One of my favorite movies of all time, Young Frankenstein. Tinnitus and vertigo episodes, for goodness sake. Tinnitus, vertigo, macular degeneration, spinal stenosis, arthritis in the spine, arthritis in the knees, losing his vision, hiatal hernia, GERD. Thank you, the bus driver MD, right? I mean, isn't this nuts? I mean, isn't this just a testament to complete ineffectiveness and juvenile treatment strategies brought to bear by the MDs? I mean, even if you have no understanding of the philosophical difference between the allopathic reductionistic method and the naturopathic holistic method, even if you have no idea what I'm talking about, you have to have enough common sense to understand that this person is a victim of the healthcare industry, because if the healthcare industry worked, he wouldn't be in this situation. He'd be healthy. But he's not. It's getting worse for him every year. It's getting worse for him every year while he's been under the care of his MDs his entire life. They dropped the ball, but nobody calls him on it. Why? Snap out of it. Fire your medical doctor. So, the vertigo and the tinnitus are calcium deficiency diseases. The spinal problem and joint problems are calcium and glucosamine deficiency diseases. The osteoporosis is a calcium and glucosamine deficiency disease, as was the severe scoliosis and the Dowager hump. The gastroesophageal reflux is also a calcium deficiency disease. The macular degeneration is caused by oxidative damage to the macula. So this guy needs one healthy bone and joint pack per 100 pounds of body weight per month, one bottle of glucogel per 10 pounds of body weight per month, 4 bottles of selenium a day, 4 bottles of selenium a month, 1 bottle of Ultimate Daily Capsules, 1 bottle of Ultimate Daily Capsules a month, and as many antioxidants as he can consume on a daily basis. The easiest way to do that, have 4 pieces of chocolate a day. Well, that's a tough prescription. 4 pieces of Youngevity's Triple Treat chocolate a day will give him approximately 60,000 ORAC points, 4,000 pieces of chocolate. More than that, 68, almost 70,000 ORAC points of antioxidants, and that beats a poke in the eye with a sharp stick. Once he's on this program and he's eliminated the 10 bad foods and has started salting his food, he should, within 4 weeks, start to wean off of his gastroesophageal reflux medicine. He should probably just stop taking that by the 2nd week. But remember, I can't tell him to do that unless I can prescribe those drugs in the state in which he lives. Since I can't, because I'm not licensed and regulated in your state, I can't tell him to stop the drug, but if it were me, I would stop taking it. And then the knee pain and the back pain should slowly start to get better. There should be a noticeable difference in the pain within 3 months, which will then build upon itself until everything starts to strengthen and get better, and that is how we roll. Tonight's webinar, 8 o'clock Central Time, Learning to Love the Skin That You're In. I'm Dr. Peter Glidden. Look forward to seeing you there. Check it out, fireyourmdnow.com. Sign up for the free newsletter, and you're in. You get a free pass to tonight's webinar. Looking forward to seeing you there, and looking forward to Dr. Tenpenny tomorrow, Friday, the 14th day of June, in the 1st hour. I'm Dr. Peter Glidden. Stay well. I'll see you all around campus.